It's Market Day in Glenrose, a community of about 2,500 people nestled in the hills of East Spokane, Washington, just a few yards from the city limits. Once across these fields, native peoples harvested food for winter months. Once they were ripe with orchards and small farms, a network of food growing and preserving that helped feed the growth of Spokane into the 1930s and beyond. We're getting together today to support a new idea, our summer market, and to celebrate a way of life, a way both old and new. What is this Glenrose way of life? Can a summer market support the homegrown lifestyle, preserve that spirit of wholesome country living? If so, how?
We both retired and we moved back to some property that we bought when we were very young. And we had a friend who sells seed garlic, organic seed garlic. So we went over, talked to him. He said, absolutely, that's what you should do. And we started to do garlic.
Yeah, so the ice cream is all from Brain Freeze Creamery, and they're just right located in the valley, and they make all their ice creams by hand. A lot of the ingredients they either make in-house or they get from local businesses. And we love getting involved in the community. I mean, even coming to this market is great, you know, getting able to interact with other vendors, purchase things, and I just love the involvement that we get to see throughout the community here.
Then when I moved here, I got some birthday money and decided to take a soap making class, and then I kept making more and more soap, and my husband said, you have to start selling it. so I went through those means, and then I do markets and bazaars when I get a chance.
So we started beekeeping about 7 or 8 years ago. We have a daughter named Leisha Lynn, and she really liked bugs. And we saw an advertisement locally that there was a beekeeping class, and I offered to take the class with her if she wanted. And in the process, we started the first year with 4 or 5 hives, and I made the mistake of telling Leisha Lynn that she had to make the honey pay for itself. So now she has about 200 hives, and she sells a lot of honey at farmers markets.
Here you have capped honey, but you also have brood. This here is brood, which is bees in progress.
So one day my wife Tina wanted to start doing some soap making, and we knew we could put beeswax in soap, so we decided to give that a try, and she has developed a soap line that we sell also almost exclusively through farmers markets.
Do you like the market?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's so much food, and it's candy, and there's pizza. What if we just keep it up forever? And then we can just come here every day, come to the farmer's market, buy food, get your face painted. What if everyone just lived here?
Our market is still in its early stages, learning what's important, what might make it special, asking what are the key ingredients.
In a garden, it's so like going out to meet a friend, and it's not work when you go to meet a friend. I minimize the work and maximize the enjoyment of just the experience. Okay, so, I mean, I let things go to seed. So here's some lettuce that is dried up, but you can see all the seeds that I've allowed it to go to seed, and they will simply, if they're ripe enough, and I always let some go to seed, that I can just shake them around the garden, and next spring I'll have nothing but lettuce and spinach coming up everywhere, and they'll just be here, and they'll be sprouted much sooner than I would ever plant them, because it's amazing. From April on, then you'll have produce coming out of the garden just for free. I love the area. Felt like home every time we drove up here, and that was the first thing we wanted to plant, was a garden. And I grew up on a farm, and we always had a garden. From an early age on, I saw how my mom would preserve things for the winter, and that's what we lived on all winter long, was what she canned in the summertime. Between canning and drying and freezing, we don't waste anything. I mean, we eat everything out of the garden.
30-odd years ago, Martha, my wife, and I were at an estate sale, and there was a lathe that I was interested in, and she pressured me to buy it. So, you know, I'm fond of saying it's like kissing pretty girls, where there's no going back. And wood, and particularly turning wood, is curvilinear. It's very feminine shapes. It's marvelous fun to get into the curve, you kind of get into the zone, and in so doing it's very relaxing. I can go over there and stand at that lathe and just be gone for hours.
He has a beautiful creativity in shape. He scavenges wood and takes wood that is coming down from a tree that's dying or make way for a new construction. And he takes pieces of wood like that and turns them into objects of art. And I think rather than having a piece of wood just get burned up or put into the dump, it does create new things. And I think that people appreciate that. But I think the act of creating art objects that are practical is a really positive thing for all people, the environment. And I just think that's really neat.
Oh yes, that's coming along.
Well, we moved from Bozeman, Montana, and we had a little house in town there. In town, you could only have 5 chickens. We had a little coop in our backyard and sort of got into the chicken rearing and got used to having eggs and chickens around. And so when we moved here and had a lot more acres, it was sort of a natural to continue having chicken. Girls? Well, it's, you know, I think we've always done this, but not on this scale. And it's a lot more work at this scale, and I think we're sort of trying to figure out how much we can handle. Our garden, I think we kind of overbuilt, and we have more produce than we can eat, and it seems like our neighbors have all told us, like, give it time, you know, take things slowly, because eventually you'll kind of figure out what you can and can't handle. But when we do have our garden going, the benefits are, I mean, it's just really fun. It's beautiful, and you have that satisfaction of making a whole meal out of stuff you've grown, and the bounty of this land is really amazing. We have a beekeeper that keeps bees on our land, and he's always at the market, so it's fun to run into him. And last night we picked up our first batch of honey, and so he gave us a taste of those. And he keeps bees on my in-laws' land too, so we did a little taste test comparison, and I always just learn so much from him. I think people enjoy coming together in an environment like that, where all you have to do is show up. It's such a unique market in that you're right, you know, you look out beyond the vendors and you're in a rural area where wheat is being harvested in the background, and people around here know their land and so well and care about their land, and I think it's a positive thing for the community to kind of, for the greater Spokane community to have that.
Oh, the market venue is a wonderful, wonderful outlet for the community, but for myself personally, it was lots of fun. You have to establish tradition and history, and it's being established now. I think that the market may be a very viable part of the whole community and help define the community as a place, and it will take some work to keep that character because of the pressures, the economic pressures of our community, of any community. Things like the market are a marvelous way to do that, maybe more effective than anything else.
It's the center focus for it, so everybody knows each other. That's what it's like. It's, you know people because you come together, and that's when they share ideas and they talk to each other and get to know each other. I mean, just like David helped set up, and he said the buzzword was the Yellow Jackets, and so I know that I'm not isolated here with the Yellow Jackets. Everybody's having this year of the Yellow Jackets. Or a lot of people have bees, and they shared that, oh, you know, this is going wrong with the bees, and they share those ideas. And if you don't share those things, then you have to learn the hard way. You know, sharing and talking about what's going on absolutely makes us wiser. It's That's what builds community. It's when you love each other and take care of each other. Isn't that what we'd all want to be, is loved and taken care of by each other in the neighborhood?
Across our nation, people are turning again to small farms and community gardens looking for healthy, locally grown foods and products. Glenrose is part of this movement. Here, where coyotes, deer, and owls are part of our daily lives, for us, a way of life once taken for granted, then almost lost, now perhaps to be secured for future generations. Is our Glenrose Summer Market a piece of this renaissance? If so, it will depend on the support and participation of our Glenrose neighbors, each in his or her own way.
I don't do any other markets. I only do the Glenrose Market because I live here and this is my community. I love coming here and seeing what everybody's been doing and all the local produce. There's no middleman. It's just you and the person who had the passion to make it happen. I think it's amazing.
I love to go to markets. It's fun to meet people involved. And I love, actually, as a vendor, to be able to swap things at the end of the day.
With the market, you see more of where the product comes from. With the farmer there representing the food that the farmer has produced, you have a chance to question the farmer. You have a chance to see the product. You know more of the processes behind it, but you're getting something that has some actual care that went into it.
I like buying my honey, my oil, my produce, my fruits from people. I need to look at you and you talk to me, and then their bond is made and there's a network. We create more of a community, so I really appreciate markets.
It brings people together, and it's good to see who your neighbors are and get to know them better. This is a good way to do it.